Recent Mario Karts have always been about adding gimmicks to the game. With Mario Kart 7, they added gliding and water. In Mario Kart 8, they added a cool feature called anti-gravity. And even in Mario Kart Wii, they added bikes, which that could be considered a gimmick on its own. It depends on what you look at it. But honestly, the gimmicks make the game. Like, Mario Kart is a game of just makes the games unique with its new gimmicks, which is a very fair response to some people to say that they don't like the gimmicks. But I personally love Mario Kart gimmicks. They add more to the game and they give the game its own identity. But I want to talk about if Mario Kart gimmicks are good, and if they should continue doing gimmicks in every game, and how they could fix issues with making last games out of date, such as Mario Kart 7 not really having a point to playing it anymore, since it's just Mario Kart 8 but for a lower tier. So yeah, let's talk about that. The first thing I want to talk about is the fact of that we have Mario Kart 7, which introduced a new feature of gliding and underwater mechanics. However, the mechanics were also brought to this game and mostly was improved in every way, shape, and form, which makes it honestly uninteresting at times. Obviously, it's not as bad as directly making the exact same versions of the physics, because they didn't modify them. I mean, this game has a lot different physics for that regard. Like, obviously this game is mostly improved, but I feel like gliding is not as great as it was in Mario Kart 7, but that's besides the point. But does it really make sense to do these gimmicks and just bring them to the next game? Because that kind of makes the last game out of date and no reason to return to it outside of maybe a few tracks, which isn't a great thing. As I was saying, if they bring the next gimmicks from the previous game to this game and then add another gimmick, really it's just a improved version of the past game with more gimmicks, and it kind of makes the last game feel pointless in some scenarios. Obviously, they removed the bikes from Mario Kart 7, and Mario Kart Wii is just genuinely a great game. But I wouldn't even consider that much of a gimmick, bikes. They just kind of, I mean, really the gimmick in Mario Kart Wii was inside drifting and wheelies. That is the difference. But Mario Kart Wii was also a game where, yeah, it was broken, but that's not the topic we're here about. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe really kind of put Mario Kart 7 out of everything, because it's just Mario Kart 7, but everything almost is entirely better. But there are some pluses to having a gimmick in Mario Kart, and one of those pluses is it gives you a reason to want to try the new games. Like, if they didn't have gimmicks ever, why would you want to play Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, if they didn't have any gimmicks, let's say there was no anti-gravity or any of that stuff, maybe you just don't want to come back and play this game. Maybe you do not see a reason to, which is entirely fair, because this game is without the gimmicks, I can see it getting kind of stale. But with the addition to gliding, water, and also anti-gravity, not only does it make the game interesting on its own, but it also adds interesting layouts to the track design. As much as the gimmicks can and will be hated, they admittingly really can improve track design. It makes the tracks more free, more open, and can really make that track feel right for that game. But on the other side, let's say they remove anti-gravity from Mario Kart, whatever is next, Mario Kart Ultimate, let's just call it that. Let's say they remove it from Mario Kart, the next one. Yeah, Mario Kart Ultimate in this case would not be doing that good with Mario Kart 8 track ports. Because let's say they remove that. How would they do tracks I don't know. There's a couple examples out there, obviously Electrodome maybe, they can do it, but would it be as interesting? Same with tracks like Mute City or Big Blue. If they made those and they removed the anti-gravity from the next game, those tracks would just simply not be possible that much unless you completely flatten it out. In that case, it doesn't feel like the original experience and just feels like a watered down version for a game that could have had it. Probably they have the technology, but they just didn't do it. And that's also the problem with this, because like those tracks are designed around around those gimmicks. And like Cheap Lagoon, that's a track of a glider. Actually, no, that one's not a good example. Let's say they had Shy Guy Bazaar in this game, just for the what if funnies. They had Shy Guy Bazaar. The last thing is a glider. Yes, they could make it a cannon. They could if they didn't have gliders in this game. But there's also the issue of if they didn't have gliders, that would be a cannon, which isn't bad. But the problem with that is, well, it's a cannon. You're invincible in the cannon, and the obstacles such as like the Shy Guys flying on those magic carpets, those wouldn't be obstacles. That'd just be background detail, which kind of would ruin a part of that experience. Because I mean, it's not bad. Don't get me wrong. It just kind of lowers the experience that Nintendo wanted to have in the original game, and just makes it not as interesting and not as fun to do, which is kind of a problem with these gimmicks. If they don't bring back these gimmicks, some tracks aren't going to work the same. And even like Toad Circuit, it has that ramp that goes up lap 2. Yeah, that would not work, because yeah, that ramp's a glider ramp. You go on that glider ramp, you go wee, and then you just you just would land on the road on above. I don't know. That glider ramp would simply not work without the glider. I mean, maybe you can make it like a somehow insane jump, a tall jump, but then it just feels forced. So what the moral of the story of what I'm trying to say here is, yeah, I think gimmicks aren't great. I don't think they're always needed. And you know, yeah, maybe it makes the last Mario Kart outdated. Maybe it does. Maybe it doesn't. We don't know. I'm not Nintendo. But honestly, there's a lot of tracks that just need the gimmicks, and I can respect that. However, would there be a point where they add too much gimmicks? Like, let's look at 2 Mario Karts from now. Next Mario Kart, what if they add like, I don't know, hybrid drifting where you can choose inside and outside. Then the next one, they add reverse tracks and keep everything above, by the way, keep everything from the past. Then they add, oh, I don't know, Mario Kart, they add tracks where the track transforms every lap. I don't know, something like that. And like, when you go on the next lap, like let's say I finish this lap and I go into Mario Circuit all of a sudden, you know? That would not be good at all. Like, that would be too much. It'd be too stressful and too much to deal with all these track designs. We'd probably get some crazy crap in this game, which would not be great in most scenarios. However, though, that being said, I think there's a point where it's just too much, as I was saying. And yeah, I think what they should do is maybe like just for the next Mario Kart, maybe keep the exact same gameplay or gimmick stuff. Maybe make it more not as, you know, gimmicky and not focus on like anti-gravity or whatever Mario Kart Ultimate's gimmick would be. And maybe the gimmick isn't even gameplay wise. Who knows? Maybe the gimmick is that it's Mario Kart Ultimate. Like, those gimmicks I would say are fine. Like, maybe they add every character in every stage from previous Mario Karts. That would be hell to deal with, but it would be funny, and which is besides the point. But yeah, I think if they did something like that doesn't directly affect gameplay, I would be okay with that, actually. In fact, I'd be more than okay. I'd be like, hell yeah, more tracks? Sure. I would be 100% down with that. But there's a point where it's just like, gameplay, they don't want it to become stressful. And that's why I think we have enough gimmicks in Mario Kart right now to suffice. And yeah, comment down below what you think. I think we have enough. But some of you may be like, hey, maybe we remove some, we add some. I don't know. Comment down below your opinions and subscribe for more Mario Kart content. And like the video as well. That's all I have. Peace out, gamers.